Now let's look at leisure service financial management for commercial enterprises. When we're thinking about commercial enterprises, there's a difference in profit motivation and profit generation. We may not always generate a profit in the beginning. This is the investment phase. And commercial enterprises do not exist out of a need for a particular type of service. They exist because we are satisfying the need for a particular type of service that is profitable. When we look at legislative or legal parameters, there are many laws focused at supporting and regulating commercial activity, and this varies from place to place. The application of laws may depend on the structure. Is the commercial enterprise a corporation, a partnership, individually owned, or a syndicate? The primary role or expectation of commercial enterprises is to contribute to the economic well-being of the community. We're moving away from fulfilling a service or a need. When we look at commercial enterprises' market management techniques, our focus is going to be to tap the consumer spending power, the financial aspect of it, right? The only market of interest is the market that can pay enough and is willing to pay enough to help the organization realize financial goals. Commercial enterprises are responsive to market conditions as a key to their success. Their pricing strategies, price sensitivity, and flexibility in advertising are all related to profit, responsiveness to that market to ensure that they make enough money to be profitable. Indicators of success for commercial enterprises include comparing their achievements to their goals. Goals set related to financial growth and return on investment are usually the priority. There's a balance sheet that may be a key indicator of success. Have we taken in enough money to be profitable? Let's consider some financial management opportunities that are somewhat unique to this sector, commercial enterprises. They're not required to provide services that do not generate revenue, so they can look at profit centers only. It's easier to identify and avoid products that may not contribute to a profit. The entrepreneurial spirit has free reign, meaning there's a lot of different ventures that we can look at. Finally, there's many opportunities to move resources from areas of low productivity to initiatives that may offer greater results. So as you can see, there's a lot more flexibility with the main restraint being, is it going to generate profit or does it have that profit potential? Now let's look at a couple of challenges. Developing the knowledge and skill required to be effective as far as the entrepreneurial spirit takes work and intelligence. It also requires a certain skill set. This includes investment management, bookkeeping, and financial forecasting. Let's take a look at sports. There's been an increased interest in sports from diverse market segments. This has resulted in increased offerings of new and different forms of sport and sports. Also, it's resulted in a growth in corporate sponsorship for sports. If we think about the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, and their corporate sponsorship, that's a good example. Additionally, there has been increased media coverage of sports and sporting events. The influence of technology on sports-related goods, services, and training has greatly increased. And finally, there's an increased number and variety of print and online media related to sport and sports. Overall, sport, as an industry, is a collection of businesses and consumers that have a similar product and market and that engage in similar economic activities related to the sport. And overall, it's impossible to really gauge the actual impact of sport on the economy in North America. Let's look at the estimated economic impact for sport. Overall, it's 35 billion estimated economic impact internationally. And in the United States, the economic impact is estimated at 18 billion. But again, it's important to emphasize that it's really hard to estimate the actual economic impact and contribution related to sport. Then we can look at the public subsidization of sports facilities. This suggests the significance of modern spectator sports. The public subsidy estimated for the NFL alone is at $15 billion. For example, the city of Atlanta contributed $600 million of public funds to the Falcons' new football stadium. Sport is big business and is important to the local communities or cities where it's at. When we think about this, public subsidies, we need to think about what these funds are used for. So advocates for public funds suggest these funds can be an injection of substantial amounts of money into local economies. They can create new jobs, and they can revitalize certain neighborhoods. The opponents of public subsidization for this type of sport facilities would argue that there's no positive effect on the economy. The per capita income is not changed, and there's a substitution effect in place on spending. There's a poor return on investment for job creation, meaning the jobs created aren't necessarily worth the amount of money spent. Spending on entertainment is substituted from spending elsewhere in the community, and the neighborhood revitalization is often negligible. We can also need to consider television ratings and broadcast fees. The amount of funds generated are influenced by television ratings and shares of viewing market captured. So it's important that the sport being televised is popular. Oftentimes, these ratings and fees are used as negotiating tools by leagues to increase their revenue. Individual teams may not benefit as much as the league in general benefits from these ratings and broadcast fees. Let's take a look at franchise values and player salaries. Overall, the values of franchises and the value of a player contract has skyrocketed recently. Team values have experienced significant growth for a variety of reasons, and they may be now in the billions of dollars, especially for select teams such as the Dallas Cowboys, New York Yankees, and so forth. Overall, player contracts are also increasing at skyrocketing rates. In general, the cost of attending sporting events has also increased at an incredible rate. There's a thing called the fan cost index, which looks at the price of 4 average tickets, 2 small draft beers, 4 small soft drinks, 4 regular sized hot dogs, parking for 1 hour, 2 game programs, and 2 of the least expensive adult sized caps. And what we look at here is overall what has that price changed year to year for different sporting events. And the price has gone up considerably recently. Overall, as we conclude this part of the commercial sector for financial management and leisure services, we need to remember that commercial enterprises are focused on profit.